Welcome to Aiken This Week. I'm Emery Langston. Today my guests are Stephen Strohminger, who is the Planning Director for Aiken County, and Ryan Bland, who is the Planning Director for the City of Aiken. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And Stephen, thank you for hosting us today in the Shaw's conference room here at the Aiken County Government Center. Our topic today is going to be something that has been talked about, I think, for a very long time, the Whiskey Road corridor study. The study is new, but the Whiskey Road issues, I think, have been talked about for some time. So we're excited to have that conversation today, and I know that both of you were heavily involved with this process. And as we're getting started, Stephen, if you could talk to us about how the study came about.
Okay, sure. Kind of came about, well, as you all know, Whiskey Road, we get calls about it almost every single day. Traffic congestion, all those types of issues. And one of our councilwomen from District 2, Camille Frigiueli, got a whole group of us together. In fact, folks from the city, the town of New Ellenton, the county folks, engineers, SCDOT, local legislative delegation, and had a big meeting to get us on board on trying to come up with something, remedies and solutions to help improve Whiskey Road.
Sure.
So that was the catalyst point, and from that point, we went on to develop a request for proposals for consultants, and here we are, we're underway. So.
And it's exciting. It's exciting, and some really good stuff, I think, has come out of it that we're going to talk about today. But I have to ask this question. With Whiskey Road being our main vein, and it covers lots of jurisdictions, what is the biggest complaint that you hear?
I hear congestion first, and then right behind it, close behind it, is safety. The big open ditches, all the accidents that we have. I mean, we've had almost 600 accidents in the last 3 or 4 years just on Whiskey Road within that corridor. So I think for us at a planning point, that's our biggest concern. But I think the public, not only is that, but how long it takes them to get down to their favorite restaurant at the other end, or to Lowe's, or to Home Depot, or to one of those locations.
I think the issues were so wide-ranging that in our draft comprehensive plan, we referred to it just as traffic conditions, because it's speed, it's safety, it's turning movements, it's coordination of the lights, but kind of underlying all of that as well, as an aside that you don't see, but on a periodic basis, is also stormwater. Stormwater management through the corridor is often more problematic than meets the eye until you have a major rain event, and you can really see the results of that. So it's multifaceted, the issues along Whiskey Road.
Sure.
Correct.
Well, the study covers, of course, the county. So we're talking about an area from about the New Ellenton town all the way down to the other end.
Limits are from south boundary all the way to 278, just outside of New Ellenton.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Almost to the gate. SRS, yes.
So knowing that this is covering several jurisdictions, how are the city and the county working together through coordination with the study?
Yeah, the study predates my time with the city, but the city has been involved with it through the onset of the study, and our Public Works Department especially has been really involved to make sure that we coordinate it well between the jurisdictions. And what a lot of people probably don't realize just by driving through the corridor, it's very multi-jurisdictional. So you have a jurisdictional coordination needed, and everything from traffic to stormwater is a systematic issue. In many cases, either the city or the county could fix something that wouldn't alleviate the problem. Right. So or the state. So there's also SCDOT, SCDHEC, utility providers. It requires a large amount of coordination, and many of those groups have been part of the conversation and come to the table as part of the study, which has been fantastic.
Correct. Both staffs have been involved in both steering committee for the study for itself, plus kind of focus groups. You know, the engineers from both departments have been something they've been looking at for years and years and years along this corridor, including the DOT folks, on how to fix it. How do you handle, you fix something here, well, like stormwater, for example, then it's going to cause a problem on the next basin over, and then the next basin over after that. So you can't just fix it right here at the road. You've
Right.
got to take a whole regional approach to it. So.
Sure, and I think that that is such a good point because you know, just driving down to Southside, going to Lowe's. Oh my gosh! And then when you really talk about from the beginning of the conversation that you mentioned, Stephen, and Ryan, what you just mentioned, all of the folks that are involved have to be at the table. And that is really important and wonderful to know that y'all are putting that coordination together and everybody's at the table speaking the same language, understanding how one fix could be another person's problem and how, you know, taking steps to layer that.
We have. And plus, in giving input, just, you know, our ends, you know, when we're having these focus groups and the community meetings and things like that, we are putting our input and putting input that we've received from other folks. I get people who call me all the time and say, I can't make it to the meeting, but I really wanted to get this point across, so I'm going to put it down when I get to the meeting so that your thought or your comment gets incorporated into the study, and all of the comments get incorporated to the study at the end. It's an appendix always.
And I think that's a great kind of segue for us right now because you have some very impressive visuals that have come from this.
Yeah, we have.
So we're going to take a look at those visuals and get into a little bit more of the technical part of the study.
Okay.
Perfect.
Sounds great.
So the Stantec consultants are the firm that are working with the study. And how are they going to use the public's input, or how have they used the public's input to develop the project?
Okay. Well, behind us we have some of the visuals that they created from our community workshop. And just kind of to point that out, starts off with the historic district, south boundary, and runs through that. And what they've done is incorporated a lot of the ideas that came from the first public symposium that we had, and the second one where they did visual preferences, what kind of cross-section they would like for the roadway. And you'll see that they've reflected that in here. Like almost everyone picked the kind of 5-lane cross-section with a multi-use path and a sidewalk with street landscaping. So they've incorporated that in here. They didn't want that through the historic district, so that's left with just the single existing sidewalk.
Sure.
And adding a few trees and things like that. There were some folks that wanted some beautification along the corridor as well, especially not so much in this, when we get to the transition zone or the suburban zone, which is your commercial district through here that has all of Walmart, that shopping area, the Lowe's, and then your heavy commercial area. They wanted a little more visual breakup, beautification. And so they've done that without blocking folks' access to their businesses.
Very good.
And then transition down to kind of our suburban transition zone, which goes from outside of the city of Aiken all the way to you get to the town limits of New Ellenton, which we're showing the multi-purpose path, so you can get from pretty much from one end all the way out from the Weeks Activity Center all the way to the town of New Ellenton. And then finally is the kind of a redevelopment of the Main Street in downtown New Ellenton.
Perfect. And so the input that the citizens gave is represented here with multi-purpose path and the beautification
Sidewalk.
and sidewalks.
It's been regularly addressed that people want the area to be more walkable, and conversely to that currently it's nearly unwalkable, especially through what you're calling the suburban zone, right? Which is what most people think about the Whiskey Road commercial corridor, is what I would call it. You know, that where most of the kind of the major business sector is, and so it's one of those kind of systematic approaches that'll need to take place to figure out how to implement that, but to create that better connectivity between parcels to make it both flow better for cars, better for people, bicycles. Just a more well-rounded, a well-rounded area.
Which is one thing that we plan for is, you know, you're a roadway for everyone. That was kind of the catalyst that came out of this, that everyone wants to use this roadway and make it safe and I guess efficient and enjoyable for each thing, for freight, for the people walking, people that need to use bicycles to get to work or want to use bicycles to get to work. So I think they're accomplishing that. So, and plus they've given us a few other ideas on what we can do for other stormwater management without just piping it to some
Sure.
other one that, kind of enhanced swales, which they plant vegetation in that soaks up more of the water and is tolerant of being in standing water for a little while.
Sure.
Other ideas like that to kind of use it before you have to just figure out where you're going to get rid of it.
And again,
Right.
something more systematic that you might be able to implement on a parcel by parcel basis, and not something that's necessarily a major major money issue to create a small bioswale on your site to get some incremental difference in that stormwater, and it accumulates as you redevelop or continue to plan the area. So again, again, systematic approach,
Sure.
and those are some ways you can do it fairly easily and stay within kind of this natural preservation mindset that Aiken has been in since its inception. So.
Very comprehensive, very comprehensive. Well, let's talk about the program, the project development and the phasing. So we've been through the public input. We've got the wonderful visuals. We've got the wonderful input about who's going to be using it, the various users. So can you talk about the phasing of the project?
Sure. We are approaching the end. So now that we've gotten some of these, they're going back and coming up with specific projects and ideas, costing them, getting some reasonable estimates that they'll run by DOT to have them check on the pricing, and then they'll formulate a draft report with that it brings everything together, a narrative, public comments, projects, costs, and then we'll go back out to the public for them to have a final look at, this is what we've come up with, and do you like what you're seeing? Do you agree with that? Do you have any ideas where we can get funding for these things? Things like that. And then there'll be the final product that hopefully everyone will adopt. And from that point on, we move forward into implementing the projects and lining up the funding for them.
Very good. With the recommendations that are going to come out of the study, and I'm sure that the landowners that are on the corridor have been paying close attention to this. How will the landowners be impacted by the study? What's going to happen with that?
Well, I can say at this point in time, looking at these layouts, they have designed everything right now to fit within the existing right-of-way. So there'd be no other, there's no taking of land. So that
Right.
what right-of-way exists, they're making this fit in there. Because some of it, like, well, how do you get a multi-purpose path here? Well, we're closing up those 5-foot ditches on the side of the road and putting a pipe under it, and that means you can put a trail on top of that. So, and they've incorporated in some of the stormwater stuff, some of the upcoming redevelopment, like for the mall area, and other ones that we have, or county property or city property, where it'll be easy we already own the property, we can just develop on it, like we showed large regional detention facility that's on county property down kind of past Lowe's area. So, so there shouldn't be any impact other than, a nice new sidewalk out front and some trees, and some extra landscaping in front of your property.
Sure, I mean, that's being effective and efficient with the use of space and trying to be creative and not impacting those landowners. And I think that because I know with the city of Aiken that there are a lot of studies going on in development that we know that's going to happen. So this study, I think, is probably coming at what I would think would be a very good time.
Correct.
When we're looking at infrastructure issues and development issues and things of that nature.
When we're considering the city's draft comprehensive plan currently, and the Whiskey Road corridor has kind of been identified as a placeholder in there as a transition area where we might want to reevaluate policy based on the results of this study. So again, we're working with the county and just working with the study and trying to find the best way to implement that on the city side as we move forward in the next 10 years.
Well, Stephen, you mentioned that the study is coming to an end when we talked about the phasing. So do you have a timeline for that or a date for that as to when that will wrap up?
We will probably wrap it up at the end of June.
At the end of June.
That's our anticipated completion date.
Okay.
We'll probably go back out to the public sometime in early May, would be my guess. That way it gives them enough comment period time for them to be able to the public, meaning the
Sure,
public.
sure.
For us to roll those comments in, maybe take some looks at it before some adjustments that we want to make to the actual final to incorporate what came out of the last public meeting.
Sure. So that'll be kind of the very last
That's
step.
the last step to finish it.
Very good. So folks will have another opportunity
Correct.
to view what is to come.
They sure will.
That'll be great. So we hope that everybody will keep watching that in our news media to find out when that is to be a part of that and participate in that opportunity. Well, this is a very comprehensive study. So as we're wrapping up today, gentlemen, do you have any other points that you want to make about the Whiskey Road Corridor study?
Other than I hope that people keep paying attention to and participating, because they've been great at participating. We've had great attendance at the meetings, and I that's what I want to hear. That's what our folks that we are, the consultants that we're paying to work on this for us, that's what they want. So,
Sure.
So keep coming out. That's what we're looking for.
Absolutely.
Get involved.
This is an issue that we've talked about. This, the Whiskey Road Corridor, our main vein, has caused a lot of conversation over the years. So
sure
this is definitely folks' opportunity to come out and voice their opinions. So, gentlemen, thank you so much
Thank you
for sharing with us today.
You're welcome.
And we thank you for being with us for Aiken this week, and we'll see you next time.